and welcome to the Art of Decluttering podcast. I am your host, Amy Revell, and I am excited to discover and explore a topic today with you that is about busyness and idleness and intentionality and how we use our time, our resources, our finances, and our energy, and whether we can move away from busyness without moving to idleness. And is there somewhere, I won't even say in between, but is there a different space that we can enter that is actually about intentionality and living with intention? Now, the reason I came up with this topic is I was getting sick of myself. I was getting sick of myself as my answer to so many questions of how's work, how's the business, how's life? And my go-to answer is busy because that's what it feels like. But actually, when I think about it, it's not busy. I've had time to sit down and do a puzzle. I went out for dinner tonight with my sister. There's lots of things. We've had dinner with friends. We had a friend over on Tuesday night. So it's busy, but busy kind of implies that busy bee, frantic, rushed, distracted. Like when I hear that someone's busy, I automatically think, well, I don't want to impose. They don't have space for me. They don't have time. We can't have a conversation. They're going to be, everything I do with them, it has to be brief. And it's all about the time. And they're so busy and they've got so many things on their plate. And then sometimes when I think, okay, well, I need to move away from busy because that's not actually a representation of how I feel. It's just kind of the cultural word that I use. But then I think, like, what isn't busy? And then I just think, well, that's idle. And I don't want to be someone who's idle. In fact, I don't think I am someone who's idle. Although idle has like time and space, and there's a lingering and an approachability with idleness. And so what I've really been thinking about is intentionality. And I talk a lot about intentional living. Living with intention looks like deciding what you want your life to look like and pursuing that. And so I thought it would be really helpful to unpack with you guys, as I unpack for myself, that busy, idle, and then intentionality. I think when it comes to our family calendar, it can be tempting to say that things are busy, but actually they're totally not. We don't rush from one thing to the next. We don't feel like we're running in the door, scoffing down food, running out to the next thing, packing for 3 days worth of activities, and off we go. We actually do have a lot of space. The 4 of us in our family are quite strong homebodies, but that also doesn't mean idleness. Like when we're home, it might be doing a puzzle. I was saying to Cal tonight, he was watching, he watches the front bar, like a footy show thing, which I have absolutely no interest in watching. But I said to him, I'm going to be working tonight, but I really wish I was sitting and doing a puzzle at the kitchen table and you sitting with your guitar and just strumming away and you playing and us chatting. And that's what I would love to do. And I don't think that's idle. I actually think that's intentional. It's taking time to slow down, taking time to do the things that fill my cup, that connect me to the people that I love. And so I wonder if you might be in the habit of talking about everything that you do as busy. So work, busy, family, busy, home life, busy, social life, busy. And then you actually miss out because you're not creating the space for anything. Like when you say busy, another thing that I think often we hear from someone who says that they're busy is I'm full. I don't have space for you. I don't have time for you. I don't have headspace for you. I'm full. I don't have any space. And idleness just is kind of a pretty unattractive thing in culture. And so how do we open our calendars, open our homes, open our mindsets, open our hearts to actually be intentional on how we use words, but also what our home and calendar look like? So we're going to jump to an early quick break today because I want to come back and explore this a little bit more with you. So we'll be back in just a second. Okay, so let's talk about what busy might look like in your calendar. So it might be drop the kids at before school care, rush off to work, get back, pick up the kids from school or from after school care, or pick up the dog from doggy daycare, or get home late, your partner gets home late, you're shoving down food, someone has to run and do the groceries, somebody else has a meeting they have to attend, and you feel like there's kind of no white space. I think that's what busy looks like. But I think that when you reframe what, say, a calendar busy looks like into intentional, it might mean that there are just some moments. So it might mean when you're leaving work and you're in the car park and you bump into a colleague. Busy would mean you don't have time to, check in and, hey, I haven't chatted to you in the last couple of days. How are you doing? Is everything all right? It might mean when you're doing the groceries and you bump into someone that you've got, 3 minutes to stop and have a quick chat. It might mean that sometimes when you're driving in the car, you just want to call a friend and check in. It gives you space to be creative and connective when you're really intentional with your time. And I think building in some white space, so not necessarily idleness, but just times when you can go with the muse, or you can sit and watch a show or binge a Netflix series, because that stuff is really important, but it doesn't need to make you busy. It doesn't need to make you unapproachable or dismissive or, always having those brief interactions, or you're distracted all the time. I think when you're intentional, you're very much in the moment. So even if you're at capacity, you can still be intentional, because intentionality means that when you're at a coffee catch up with a friend, you're at the coffee catch up with the friend, that your brain isn't thinking, okay, so I've got to pick up the groceries and then someone's got to pay the phone bill and I've got to return that thing to the shops and I've got to return that phone call. And you're actually there, and your mind is where your body is. And I think that that's a really great thing around intentionality, because busyness, it feels like we're always pushing to get to the next thing, rushing around and not able to be present. And I think that there's a really lovely byproduct of intentionality, and that's the linger. I love what happens in the linger. I think the linger is underrated. I think the linger when you're in a conversation, or the linger at the end of a phone call, or the linger when you're leaving a friend's house and you're standing in the doorway, the stuff that happens in the linger, it's like when you talk to psychologists, they'll often say that as someone's leaving the psychology office, in the last 30 seconds, they'll just drop a bombshell. And it's almost as you take away the pressure and there's that linger, that there's a little bit of freedom. And I think this happens often when we declutter in our homes as well. So, obviously we've talked about that calendar side of it, but in our homes, when you've got a lot of stuff and your home is busy, there's actually less time for that intentional lingering. There's less time to just sit at the kitchen table with the kids. There's less time to lie in bed on a Saturday morning with your partner and just chat. There's less time to do the crossword and just wander around the garden, because you're so busy for the next thing that you've got to get to, and you've got to go to go to Bunnings and buy stuff to do the garden, and then you've got to go and do all these things. But when you're intentional and you don't have as much stuff that doesn't require as much attention, that also saves you money, you can linger through life a little bit more. And I think what I've seen with so many clients is when they reduce the quantity of items in their home, so when they declutter, there's actually, it's like your eyes have, and your body and your mind have a chance to rest. And I think that's part of it, the linger as well, is that you're not always thinking, I've got to pick up that sock. Oh yeah, those pegs need to go away. And so you're always thinking that dog bowl needs cleaning and this and that and the other. You've got time to just stop and be. And so this is all unfolding in my own mind, but I really do want to encourage you to think about, what does intentionality look like in your calendar and in your home and in the way you spend your energy? And can you move away from talking about busyness? because busyness doesn't invite the linger. It doesn't invite the opening up and the conversation. And it's the same in your home. When you're constantly having to attend to the stuff, you don't really get to focus on what your intentions are and what actually is important to you. Like for me, it's really important that I get space to sit and do a puzzle and chat with Cal and have him play the guitar and us just, hang out. And it's so good for us to do that. And when we're busy, you feel bad doing those types of things. You feel guilty, or you think, oh, there's something I should be doing with my time. But actually allowing yourself to kind of get into this rhythm of, you might even say you've got a full calendar, but that might be that it's intentional. So I hope that my musings today has caused you just to stop and ponder. It might cause you to reduce the quantity of things in your calendar, the quantity of things in your home, the busyness that you feel you can't escape, and actually just go, what does a simpler life look for me? What does minimalism look like from a calendar perspective? What does minimalism look like from a financial perspective? And so you actually can move to a more intentional life. Interesting. Thought-provoking. I hope it's helpful. I want to encourage you, if you have thought about joining my Head, Heart and Home community, it's a decluttering course that's online, self-paced, and it goes through the absolute important things that you need in order to live a decluttered and organised life and live in a decluttered and organised home. The course is only $247 Australian, so even cheaper if you're in the US. And it's a great way to equip yourself with the tools that are needed so that you can make amazing decisions, get your home decluttered, and have the systems and the routines and the habits so that you can keep it organized. I want to invite you to come over and join that course. You can just visit my website, theartofdecluttering.com.au/course, or you can go to my Instagram and just have a look in the bio. You'll see a link there as well. Come and join us. There's hundreds of people in the course, and we've had so many people joining in the last 6 months. It's really exciting. I'd love you to come and experience, what it's like to really be equipped so that you can experience that freedom and that intentionality that you desire in your life. Also, if you have a podcast topic that you'd like me to discuss or a guest that you would like me to interview, please drop me a DM or send me an email. I would love to hear from you, and I would love to, do some topics that are listener requests. Until next week, enjoy the freedom. I would like to acknowledge the Wurundjeri people, who are the traditional custodians of the land this podcast is recorded on. I would also like to pay respects to their elders, both past and present, of the Kulin Nation, and extend that respect to other Indigenous Australians. Thank you so much for joining me today. If you enjoyed today's episode, I would love you to rate and review the show on your podcast app. That will help others to find the Art of Decluttering podcast as well. If you'd like any more information, you can visit theartofdecluttering.com.au, and I would love to see you in my Facebook group. Just search the Art of Decluttering community on Facebook and join today. I hope that you have an incredible rest of your day and enjoy the freedom.